Welcome to the Think Before You Post podcast, where we talk about all things digital citizenship and anything else we find that's fun and noteworthy on the internet. I'm Christina Jantra, and
I'm Paula Evans.
And
I'm Ann-Therese Brandt.
Welcome, and we're Neptune Navigate. Today, this episode, we're going to talk about media literacy. But first, before we do that, I'm going to give an update. In our second episode, that sounded so professional.
It did.
In our second episode, we talked about a letter that was sent to TikTok and Snapchat that was signed by 44 of our 44 state attorney generals.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Yes.
And all they were asking for was a little help from these two social media platforms, saying, hey, could you give access to third-party monitoring software companies like Bark, like MobiSip, like Circle, so that they can help parents monitor what their kids are doing on your platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said in that episode, the question that came to my mind was not first, what did the letter say, but why or who were the 6 attorney generals who didn't sign the letter? Because it seemed pretty basic to us, something you could get behind. So just as a follow-up, thank you. I did reach out to our state attorney general, Ken Paxton, and ask why he decided not to sign that letter, and no shock to anyone, I have not received.
Wait, what?
I have not
It's coming.
received
It's in the mail.
a response. But to be honest, the theme of my week last week was Christina sends emails to people, some of them important people, and they don't reply. So I don't know. I need to work on my email techniques, etiquette, because apparently people are not wanting to reply to my emails.
I am shocked about that for a variety of reasons, but the other one that comes to mind, besides that it was shocking to us, did you notice that never hit any, like,
news, social,
you never heard anything? We questioned it. Am I wrong? Did I miss something?
No, but I don't know that. I just don't think that people, when it's not your job, like it's our job to be always thinking about kids and security, like even saying that sentence seems odd. Like, can't we all just be interested in keep protecting our kids?
Right.
But we're not, clearly, because we haven't figured out, and when I say we, what I really mean is all of the social media platforms whose business model, whose purpose is to make money.
Bottom line.
So they're not doing anything, they're not taking measures to create systems where you keep 10-year-olds off TikTok.
Right.
They don't care.
Mm-mm.
YouTube doesn't care. I mean, think about it. This happened right before the pandemic. YouTube got into a lot of trouble. It's like every month YouTube was on the news. It was newsworthy that YouTube kept having these mishaps where it showed that kids were vulnerable and being taken advantage of. And look, I've explained this one. Every time I go speak somewhere, I explain this one, and it really creeps me out. So I'm not actually going to explain it here, just to know that pedophiles were watching YouTube videos that were made by little girls, putting timestamps at certain points, and YouTube knew about it. It was made aware. YouTube was then made aware of it. I guess I said I wasn't going to explain it, but
you are. That's fine. Go ahead.
In various terms, YouTube was made aware of it. YouTube, their fix for it was that they turned off comments for all videos that their software picked up were made by children. Okay, that brings to mind this. If you have the software that can identify YouTube videos created by little kids, how about you just delete those videos? How about you just kick those kids off? But no, instead, they left the video up. They just turned off comments. I just don't think they care. All those social media sites, they just don't care. So, to wrap all that up, we did not hear back from Kim Paxton's office as to why he did not sign the letter that 44 other,
Maybe he will. Maybe it just hasn't gotten to him yet. And he
Maybe.
will answer.
and yeah, he's busy.
Let's hope.
Doing
He's a
other
busy man.
things. All right. Now let's tackle this media literacy thing.
Okay.
We talk a lot about media literacy at Neptune Navigate. We do a full module on our K-12 platform regarding media literacy. So here's the quiz. I quizzed you in the last episode, Paula, so I'll quiz Ann Therese in this one. She's already thinking, why? But it's in the notes, so you can cheat if you want to. Not that we promote cheating.
I was going to say.
But can you give me our working definition of media literacy? Media literacy is the ability to, I'm giving you a lead in.
Okay, good.
Media literacy is the ability to access,
analyze, evaluate, and the last one is coming to me.
Create
Different forms of media.
right. So
Sorry. I do know this, people.
She put me on the spot last time.
Yeah.
It's like that.
It is like it's a brain freeze
Yeah.
the minute somebody puts you
Yeah.
on the
I'm
spot.
so glad you just said brain freeze. So access, analyze, and evaluate.
Yes.
Those are the three that we
Focus on.
on
Yes.
the most.
Yes.
And we always agree access is not a problem.
That's easy.
We can access media in a variety of forms on a variety of devices. It's the accessing is not our problem.
No.
Mm-mm.
What is our problem?
Evaluating and analyzing.
Right. So when we say analyzing, what does that describe? Analyzing media, what does that mean to you? Anything?
You mean like if I'm I want to know if it's real or not, if it's legit or not. Is this where I'm getting this from? Is it a legitimate source? Are they credible? Do they know what they're talking about? Or is it
Perfect.
just a bunch of phooey?
Right.
Correct.
Fooey is perfect.
Thank you.
So the article that we looked at comes out of the UK. And look, I don't think the teachers in the UK are dealing with anything different than what we deal with here in the US. And it's not just a school issue, but for this article in particular, they surveyed a number of teachers. 9 out of 10 teachers want media literacy taught in schools. And in this article in particular, they want it part of the national curriculum. So 9 out of 10 teachers, however, we can say 100% of the teachers sitting here at this table
Amen.
or
That's
actually
true.
former teachers, we see the need for media literacy. And what we've seen as we travel around the country doing trade shows and talking to teachers is that little by little, states are requiring this. The problem with that often is state legislatures will require something and then they don't give any money or time to help develop curriculum, which is kind of what we've done. So media literacy, why do you think it's important? And don't worry that the sirens are going by. We're next to a busy road, and so they're not coming after us
Oh, thank goodness.
that
I was
we know
worried.
of.
That's what I was concerned about.
Paula, what did you do this morning?
It was yesterday.
Okay.
So
Okay, why do you think it's important that media literacy become a staple in curriculums, school curriculums all over the country? Anybody have any ideas?
I think because teachers are realizing that kids can't tell truth from fiction. I mean, they can't tell, what's true and what's not. And so they're taking things and
then they share it.
And they're sharing it. They're passing it on. They're believing it as its truth, and it's not. And they don't know how to figure out whether it's truth or not.
Right, because it used to be easy. I mean, remember back when we were both working at the same school and I was the librarian, it was real easy to walk into a library anywhere in the world and see 2 different sections. And we had the big words
yes.
on the wall, fiction and nonfiction. And here's the funny thing. I distinctly remember from my whole career, at the beginning of the year in junior high, we would always talk to students about the difference between a fiction book and a nonfiction book.
And we did the elementary too. We started early.
And it was easy to tell them, when you go to the bookshelf and pull out a book, these are the things that you look for. This is fiction, this is nonfiction. But the internet blew all of that up. That complicated everything. And so now we have what I assume are 3 new words in our vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
At least new in the sense of welcome to the year 2000, I guess. I mean, we weren't saying these words in the 90s, I don't think.
No.
I don't
Mm-mm.
remember.
Mm-mm.
So the 3 words are disinformation, misinformation, and our newest member to the new word category is malinformation. So let's start with the first one. Anybody want to read the definition of disinformation? And what's the difference between dis and mis?
Disinformation is when you're giving out information with the intent to cause harm. You're intending to do something with ill will. Misinformation is just, oh, I screwed up. So like if I told Ann Therese, hey, we're supposed to be at the restaurant at 12 o'clock, but it really was 12:30. I just messed up. I didn't mean to do that. But if I didn't want her to show up because I didn't want her to come, that would be disinformation because my intent was to do harm.
It would also be just rude.
Well,
And you would never do that
I would
to me.
never because I like you.
Right. So misinformation,
Christina.
disinformation. One of them has intent to harm. One is does not have intent to harm. And then there is the malinformation, which is what?
Malinformation is deliberately creating conspiracy theories or rumors.
Right. That's where and that's apparently right now in this day that we are living in the year of our Lord 2022. Malinformation is coming out from Russia regarding what's going on in the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And Ukraine is, suffering mightily because of it. And the Russian people have been lied to, and they don't have an honest picture or honest information about what's going on in Ukraine. So that's how it's impacting us. Now, we're always on the verge of a new election cycle, and all this seems to ramp up every time we go into an election cycle. So the problem seems to be that where people are getting their news, don't you think?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok is not a reliable news source.
Wait.
Often.
Stop it.
I know.
Well, but I have a question because we're all about the same age. One of us is older. I'm not going to say who.
Mm-mm.
We're looking at her.
Uh-huh. So do either of y'all get a newspaper at your house?
No,
Nope.
not anymore. I used
Do
to,
you
but
know
we don't anymore.
anybody who gets a newspaper?
Okay, I didn't until I was running last week, and our neighbor, one neighbor that I noticed in our neighborhood.
2 of my neighbors do, and honestly, they're the oldest people on the block.
I was going to say, what
Yeah.
age group are you asking about? Not in our age group. I don't
No.
know anybody.
And not below
And
us.
nobody below us,
Right.
right?
So the Pew Research found that half of U.S. adults get their news from social media. Now, what that can mean is that they're not paying for CNN Plus because it got shut down, and it was a stupid idea. But maybe they're getting their news from like local news that they follow on social media.
Right.
That's
Right.
possible, but that's not all of it. Of those, though, of the half of the U.S. adults who get their news on social media, Facebook outpaces all other news sources.
That kills me.
I love the fact that you use Facebook and news sources in the same
I know.
sentence.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
I mean,
yeah.
that's just kind of, who
It's
would have
funny.
ever thought?
Yeah.
But it makes you so it makes you question what is a reliable or credible news source, right? And remember when we were teaching junior high or high school, and you would assign a research project and you would say you had to get credible sources. Right. So here's what astounds me is that what I'm seeing more and more from the people who I follow, who I'm friends with on social media, mainly Facebook, the things they share on social media from what they consider to be reputable news sources. And that's the problem. Because this is my question. Because you taught littles and you taught junior high. Where in the school scope and sequence, there's that
That's a good
fancy
word.
school
There we
word.
go.
Where in the scope and sequence of education now, because you can't walk into a library the library of the internet and say, this part of the internet is nonfiction, this part is fiction, where in school do we start, and how do we start teaching what a reliable news source is?
That's why 9 out of 10 teachers want this part of their curriculum, because it's not.
Because it's not.
Okay.
It's so muddy.
So where,
Back to your question.
back to my question that neither of you just answered.
Well, we diverted.
How do you start I mean, think about that. You're about to have a grandchild. 'Cause you're and that wasn't new news. We all knew that.
Yeah.
We're not breaking news here.
No.
But
Mold.
when you think about a little one starting the world in this internet age, how do you teach kids what a reliable news source is? Because I distinctly remember you doing an assignment where they had to get a credible news source. And one of the things we asked them to do was, when you find a source, you have to explain what makes them credible. And this little kid had an article from the BBC. And that kid could not explain why this historic news source, what made them credible or reliable. And it really did give me pause of, oh, these historic news sources, news outlets, kids don't recognize them anymore. But more than that, I see people, do y'all see people on your feed sharing news sources with news outlets that you ain't never heard of?
Oh,
yeah.
all the time.
And what do you think? What is your...
I will say that if it's someone I'm close to or a family member, I will private message them and explain to them what they could do to check and see if that source was actually reliable, and then show them why it's not. I've done that a couple times.
I've done that a couple of times. I've looked it up and realized that it's fake news. And then I send it to them like the actual.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's not fake news. If we go back to our 3 words, which one is, if it's from a not reputable news source giving wrong information, which one would you categorize it as? Miss, dis, or mal? Which sound like my 3 new best friends.
Yes.
Miss, dis, and mal. So it could be one of all 3.
It could be. I was just
It
going
could
to
be.
say, it really could be
the
all of
person,
them, because you don't
here's
know
the
the
deal,
intent.
The person that you're once removed from, that your friend is, that they shared it, they're not sharing it with intent to harm or cause. Or they're just they think it's legit.
They believe it.
They believe it.
So here's what I found out. I started doing a little research on this. There is the Society of Professional Journalists. Okay. Now, among the Society of Professional Journalists, they have a code of ethics that they follow. And you can go to their site and you can look at it, but they gave 4 bullet points. And they say, in the Society of Professional Journalists, their code of ethics includes seek the truth and report it, truth, which now we got a problem with the defining truth, but we'll just leave it there. Seek truth and report it. Minimize harm, act independently, and be accountable and transparent. That's the code of ethics that a responsible, reliable, credible news source, those are the guardrails they put up for their journalists. So that's the first question I would ask is this news source living up to or living by a code of ethics? So to find that out, I would go to the news source and look on their website, and then do, what's that other thing we try to teach people?
Lateral reading.
Lateral reading, which is, should I quiz you?
You just let me. So lateral reading is when you open up a new tab, you can look up that person, see what other people say about them, what else have they written on it. Yeah. Or you could go down to the bottom of the article and see if there's an about us.
So, but the about us is them telling you about themselves. So lateral reading says, okay, I'm going to look at what you say about yourself, but not lateral reading. I'm going to go see
what other people say
about you, or what other work you've done. Okay, we have a source that I think everyone needs to know about, and I think everyone needs, if you're going to have Instagram and you want to be informed and you want to take media literacy seriously, this is, besides Sharon Says So,
Which we love. Whom we
yes,
love.
and it's two out of the 4, I can't do numbers, 2 out of the 4 episodes that we've recorded for our podcast, we've mentioned her, so we're going to try to fit her in
everywhere.
Yeah.
Kinsey approves of that.
Yeah.
So the Instagram account that everybody needs to follow if you take media literacy seriously or if you're all interested in the news is AllSides. So their website is allsides.com. On Instagram, they are at AllSides Now. And here's what they do. They try to show news from all sides. And here's how they do that. So if there's a big thing happening in the news, they will show a screenshot of the headline regarding that news item from all sides, from CNN, NBC, ABC, Fox, all of New York Times, Washington Post, all of the news outlets. They don't point out that, ooh, look at what the liberals are saying. Ooh, look what the conservatives are saying. They just give you, the consumer,
headline.
the headline. And you get to see with your own 2 eyes and hopefully with a brain that's engaged.
And make up your own mind.
And you can make up your own mind. They also give, and I noticed that, Paula, you have it printed out right there on your computer.
I do.
What do you have?
I have actually, I would show it. I actually have the printout of all the different news outlets and where they fall on the chart.
Right. AllSides created it, and they try to put everyone, they try to label everybody.
Yeah.
Now, there is great debate over some of the placement of some of those news entities, but they're just trying to give the reader an idea of
Where
people fall. Right. It's not,
It's not science.
Right. It's not the Supreme Court ruling on what you are, but it's a great thing to say, oh, who kind of falls in the middle according to them. Give us 3 news outlets that fall kind of in the middle.
BBC, Newsweek, Reuters, The
Look,
Hill.
you said it correctly.
From
Good
once I've been
job.
practicing.
And then they give the far left and the far right.
Which is funny because I'm just going to say I have family and friends on both ends,
sides.
and it cracks me up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's a great thing to see both.
Well, and my recommendation to everyone is, 1, go look at the list or the chart and get your news from multiple sources.
Yeah.
Don't just stick with your one, because it is good to see how like what's going on in Ukraine. How is it being covered by the different news sources? The Supreme Court is about to hear a case of the football coach in California who would pray after a football game. He would kneel. Look, we're Texans, and there's a whole lot of praying going on football fields all over the great state of Texas on a Friday night. This is in California. The school district, he would kneel after the game with whoever was his team around him, and he would say a prayer. School district got some complaints. School district said, hey, we need you to stop doing that. And he didn't. He didn't want to do that, and so he got fired. And so now his case has gone all the way to the Supreme Court. They're hearing it, I guess, this week or next week. So I point that out because you can go follow that and watch AllSides and see how the various news sources headline that story. And it will tell you a lot about the bias that is in their reporting. It's fascinating to me.
It really is.
But it's media literacy is a real deal.
Can I bring up one thing that we've not touched on, but I think it's a vital part to mention?
She's pointing at us. It must be important.
the deepfakes.
Oh my goodness.
Can I just bring that up
Yeah,
really
please
quick?
do.
Because a deepfake is where an image, a video, or a photo has been edited and manipulated, and they are good. There's software, there are YouTube videos to show people how to create them.
Yeah.
So I could take her picture or a video of you speaking and manipulate it to make it sound like you and it look like you're saying exactly what I want you to say, and manipulate everything that comes out of your mouth. And those are becoming more and more common.
And why is it that all of them seem to be Tom Cruise?
Maybe he's easy
Have
to
you,
do.
have you noticed? It's all Tom Cruise. Like, I see more deep fake videos than there are Tom Cruise movies. But yeah, deep fakes, look, we're about to get into trouble with deep fakes. Because, again, election cycles.
And that's going to be big.
And it's going to seem like candidate A did and said something just off the wall stupid when they really didn't. And
So just because you see the video of someone saying something, check it out, do some research.
And slow down.
Yeah, don't just share it.
And you might want to read instead of just watch.
Oh.
Yeah.
But that takes
But
more
watching
time.
is so much easier.
It is way easier.
Look, before we get off of this media literacy tangent that we've been on, can we just, again, talk about Facebook? Because we haven't talked about Facebook enough today. So do y'all remember reading about Facebook spreading their own malinformation? Do you remember this? So remember at the beginning of this school year, we had the Devious Licks TikTok challenge where kids were going in and vandalizing bathrooms all over America. And so school districts, which astounds me that they could actually do it, but they did. They were locking the bathrooms at school. Imagine. And then we heard, well, that was the challenge for August, but October or September, the next challenge was going to be slap a teacher.
That went over well.
And we were all up in arms. All our local news stations did stories on it. Teachers all over the world or all over the country were saying, "Okay, go ahead, try slap me. I'll show you what I can do." And then we find out months later that the slap a teacher challenge was all made up by
Facebook.
Facebook hired a PR firm whose purpose was to make TikTok look bad. And the way they did it was to put out there among all of us bad information, lies, that slap a teacher challenge was coming next.
This would be malinformation.
It would be malinformation. Right. They created a rumor.
Yeah.
So all that to say, if you are on on social media, not just Facebook, any of them, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Trust but verify. Isn't that what Reagan said? Trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
So, stop sharing so quickly. Trust but verify. All right, let's move on to our favorite part of the show, which is, what's the best thing you saw on the internet this week? This time we're starting with you, Paula. What's the best thing you saw? Because I love this.
Oh, y'all, he was a 12-year-old boy. So here's the deal. This 12-year-old was getting bullied at school because his hobby was woodworking. And that's just kind of lame, especially when he only...
it's not lame.
No. Let me rephrase. The people at school thought it was lame. He
Look,
loved
Joanna
it.
Gaines would not think that was lame.
I misspoke. Thank you for correcting me. A wise one. His kids at school thought it was lame. So they were bullying him at school, and he only had like 6 followers on Instagram, which they were making fun of him for that as well. So he came home all discouraged. Well, his dad sent out a tweet and just said, basically, anybody here out in the Twitter world also have an Instagram account. Could you go follow my kid and just encourage him and kind of, boost him up a little? That kid went from 6 followers to like 33 followers to like 25,000. Then people started wanting to buy his woodwork. He was making bowls and, cutting boards and stuff.
Yeah.
So then it grew and grew and grew. Long story short, the kid ended up auctioning a bowl that he created, and he painted a blue stripe and a yellow stripe for Ukraine for a fundraiser. And they raised like over, I forgot how many hundred thousands of dollars, $300,000. And he now has like a bazillion Instagram followers. He's gone. Isn't that wonderful?
Isn't that neat?
So, yeah. And it was just because a dad sent out to his few little friends on
it.
Twitter, hey, can you help a guy out? And look at this kid.
Love it.
Awesome.
I love
Yeah.
that.
All right, Ann.
Okay, mine isn't quite as inspiring and feel good,
But it was nonetheless.
but
the best thing
nonetheless,
you
it
saw.
was the
what?
best thing.
We need lighthearted fun.
Okay, if you need lighthearted fun, y'all, I'm hoping I can get through this without dying laughing. Okay, so I'm just doing my thing, scrolling along, like I do, and I run across this. Okay, I'm trying to laugh. TikTok of this sweet little place called the Prairie Patch Farm. Okay. They have over 1.5 million likes and over 76,000 followers on
They
TikTok.
need more followers.
They need more followers, y'all. You have to know this. Okay.
And the people are going to
Now,
go look it up after this podcast.
Please do. You have to. Okay. But here's the kicker. Do you know why? Please say, I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Okay. Because the owner of this farm dresses up her llamas in costumes and posts them pictures on TikTok. And they are in like pop culture costumes. And she had llamas of Oz instead of the Wizard of Oz.
The
So
Llamas
everyone-
of Oz.
And they dressed up as the Wizard of Oz characters.
And what they do for Easter.
Oh, they dressed up. One of them is Easter Bunny. I can't remember his name. There's one she mentions by name. Oh, darn, I can't remember his name. But anyway, she said he is the most eager of all llamas to dress
And
up.
that's what you want.
That's
in
what you
in a
want.
llama.
You want an eager llama.
You want an eager
Yeah.
llama. So y'all, please, please, please go to Prairie Patch Farm on TikTok and please follow them. And I promise you, it will make your day.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. We need stuff like that to make our day, to make us laugh and make us happy.
Love it.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the best.
All right, my best thing on the internet is a question that has stumped us for the ages has finally been answered.
Finally.
Finally. It's the age-old question of, is it GIF or GIF? So the creator of the GIF or GIF, Stephen Wilhite, sadly died in March. And New York Times ran a great article about him. One of the things they told was his granddaughter went to school and explained to her computer teacher that her grandfather created the GIF, and the teacher didn't believe her. And so Granddad wrote a note that said, "I created the GIF. If you don't believe me, Google it." Which I loved. But in this article from the New York Times, he answered the age-old question because it was a question on Jeopardy, and this was his quote. The Oxford English Dictionary accepts both pronunciations, but Mr. Wilhite told the New York Times in 2013. So we've had this answer
We just didn't know.
for years. We just didn't know it. So his response was, the Oxford English Dictionary is wrong. It's a soft G. It's pronounced GIF, not GIF. End of story. So there you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's the best thing I saw on the internet.
So when in doubt, think peanut butter. Jif.
Think
Oh, there you
peanut
go.
butter. Yeah. All right, now to close this out, remember, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to ask the question, is this a stupid idea? So the question is, TikTok recently was telling people, there were videos promoting the use, because it's swimsuit season is upon us, beaches are upon us.
Tan fat always looks better than white fat.
Tan fat always. Okay, well, can't argue with that. Here's what we were learning on TikTok. Is this a stupid idea? Nasal tanning spray. Now, not to be confused, the purpose of said nasal tanning spray was not to tan the inside of your nasal
Thank you for
passages. Not.
clarifying.
Instead, this was a product you could buy that was not manufactured in the U.S. Why? Because it contains chemicals, actual synthetic hormones that are not allowed to be produced in the U.S. I can't even pronounce what it was that was in the product. But the idea was you would spray it in your nose, and it would cause your body to internally like shoot out your tan faster. I didn't really make good grades in science when I was in school. That shocks no one. But I don't think that's the way tanning works. So here's the deal. A lot of those synthetic chemicals, like the FDA does not approve it, but you could buy it.
It
And so
actually exists. It's an actual thing.
Yes. And it comes from foreign countries that apparently do allow it. So people, girls mainly, were buying this and using it. And look, here's the thing. I drank Diet Coke for years, but I quit because I just got smart enough to think maybe that was not the healthiest thing to do. Look, I'm telling you, I don't know how to pronounce the things that are in the nasal tanning sprays, but that can't be good for you, and I'm pretty sure that there were cancer-causing agents somewhere in that mix. So what do you think? Nasal tanning sprays, a stupid idea?
Stupid idea.
I kind of got excited at first because I really like for, my nostrils to be tan in the summer. And that's something I really value. But now that you told me there's chemicals in it, I'm not going to do it. So I think it's a stupid idea now.
Good. We at least can agree on that. That is not misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation. That is just solid, stupid
All right.
information. All right, there you go. Thanks for joining us again. This was episode 4, y'all.
I know, that's pretty exciting.
Thanks for joining us on the
Think
Before You Post podcast. And we'll be back next time with more
Great information.
great information. Thanks.